So now let's dive a little bit deeper into the topic, and for that I prepared a scene where I can show you different things. The first thing that you should check here is if you have that you have 25 frames per second, and also check here if the playback speed is to not play every frame, 25 frames one time. Save. Good. And the next thing you should do is clean up your scene. You see, I named stuff, I grouped it a little bit already. And what you should also do is delete all by type history. That's important, and this will save you maybe a little bit problems. So do that. And what I also do most of the time, I have already done it. You have different numbers here, and it's always helpful to freeze everything to 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. So select all of your objects, then with Shift select all of the words here, go to right click, freeze all. This will set all of the values to 0, 0, 0 and 1, 1 here in the scale. And this may help you later on to go back to the original position of the objects, because now you have completely different values in here, and yeah, this will just help you. So just do it. I prepared here a turntable. This will be the first animation I show you, because when you want to show an object from all the sides, of course, you can fly with the camera around it, but it will never be perfect. And the easiest way is to just position the object on a turntable and then turn it. That's what we do. I have here my turntable, but it's also important that we have a different grouping of objects, and the lamp should be a child object of the turntable. Otherwise, it won't work. But yeah, I just do it right away. So just take your lamp group or whatever you have in your scene, and with the middle mouse button, I just let it drop over the turntable, and then it's now grouped under. So when I move the turntable, everything is moving with it. Good. And then, quite easy, I just go here to frame 1, press S on the keyboard, then go to frame whatever, how long you want the animation to be, and I turn it minus 359 degree, because not 360, because actually you will render this 359 rotation, and then you repeat it in the post-production that you loop the animation. So actually I could also just key selection, and what does this do when I play it? The problem is, of course, you see it here, it's starting quicker. No, slower, then it's quicker, and then it gets slower again. So just let's remind you that you go to Windows, Animation Editor, Graph Editor, then when it's difficult for you, you can also select here the keys and press F. It's the same, it focuses the keys that you have, then select them and do a linear animation. And now when I go here to, for example, 99, no, go type in here, so. And now I have a perfect smoothing turntable stuff. And you just rendered a 99 frames, and yeah, just repeat it in the post-production. So, first thing. The second thing is maybe you want to animate something on your stuff here, and for example the shade, and when I want to move the shade itself, maybe I'll connect it here to that ring, and also the bulb should be connected with that, because when I move that it's not going with it. So I have to group it. And the first thing I do, the shade, take it, middle click and drop it over the ring. So now this is connected somehow. And do the same with the light bulb. The light bulb, take it with the middle mouse button and I let it drop here under the shade. So now this is connected, perfect. And also the ring. And then maybe it's necessary that you move your pivot point, because here, for example, when I rotate, okay, it's not too bad, but maybe your pivot point is somewhere, don't know, here in an animation, and you don't want the rotation to happen here. So you can change the pivot point with the insert key on Windows and with the D key on Macs. So I just press D on the keyboard, and when I want to change a pivot point to somewhere else, actually check if the ring is here, the pivot point is here, okay. But when it's not okay, press the pivot point. You could also, when you have the insert key, you could also snap it then on a point or a curve, your pivot point, and move it from that position. So mine is a little bit trickier when I want to snap it somewhere, yeah, but it works when I activate here the point snapping, and with the middle mouse button I could snap the pivot point if I want it here, then let go of the D key and everything is happening then from this position. And on the Windows, when you moved your pivot point, press insert again and then it's fixed there. Okay, actually I have to switch off here the snapping again. So now I did this a little bit confusing. Now I can do some animations, and I do this of course on this position. So okay, it's now the turntable is still active. I just delete that because it would work together, of course, but it may be a little bit confusing now, so just switch it off. Good. So go back to my ring. What I can do, for example, I press here S on the keyboard, go somewhere, then just rotate it, press S, go to another frame, rotate it down, press S, go to another frame, go back up, rotate it maybe here a little bit and rotate into another direction, S, and see what's happening. Yeah, that's just a basic, nothing special, but it's just following my instruction that I do. So then would be cool, of course, that I could bend that one, and that is now a little bit trickier, because of course you can animate quite a lot of things with just this simple way. Select an object and move it. Okay, I could also, when I move, no, I won't do that. Of course I can move the whole lamp around, everything with that kind of animation. For the bending of that we need joints, not the joints that you mean maybe. You find it here in modeling, in the animation menu, not animation, sorry, rigging, and it's meant as a skeleton. The joints are the zu Deutsch Gelenke, and we'll create these joints so that we can actually bend a geometry. And for that we create some joints. And I go to the, for that I'm going to the side view, and I just click one time that I get a ball. When I click the next time, I will click somewhere here because there actually the bending just happens in this area. Then I click here and you see you get some kind of a skeleton in between. And then I just click several times. Oops. Here next to each other. Of course, the points here, then at last, no, it's not the last one. There we have the last one. So I'm not sure if no, everything's fine, yeah. When the spheres are too big here, you can go here inside display, animation, joint size, and I decrease it to, for example, somewhere like that. Now they are hiding, but now you see better the connection here. And quite easy. Now I select, you see that it's a history because they're all connected together. When I move that, everything is going with it. Or when I select, just open up all of the joints. For example, when I select all of them, I can bend them here, for example, in that way. See that? Just do it backwards because I want to connect now my stick here with the joints. And for that, I select the base of the joint here, the first one, and shift select the, oops, maybe I do it here. So select the stick and the base joint and then go to skin, bind skin. Actually, of course, there are a lot of options. You don't need them when you say reset. In the beginning, it would just be overload for, I couldn't explain the huge topic of animation in just an hour. There are so many things you could do and try. So we just take here the basic, so yeah, the basic thing. And now you see actually nothing happens, but when I select the joints, you see, yeah, I could bend now my stick a little bit. Cool. You see the problem is, and you see it got some rainbow color. That means that this is somewhere connected to a geometry. And I can move now the whole thing. The problem is, of course, the shade should also move with it. And what I do now is I take here the ring where I connected everything else and go here and let it drop over my joint number 10. What does this do? Now everything is connected. And what I could also do now is when I take here all of the joints, so make the window a little bit bigger. Of course, I could also take just one and bend them. It's just more fun when I take all the middle ones, and now I can bend and turn my lamp in a cool way. And you could also animate this. What does this mean? Oops. The problem, what I just did was the animation with the ring, where I animated the ring. This is connected to a different position. So, oops, I just may delete all of that stuff. And now just reposition it here on frame 1. Sorry, my fault. This might be a little bit tricky during animation. And now press 1 again. And I still have some animations here. So for deleting all this stuff, it would be better for me to go into the dope sheet and select delete everything here. Because now, yeah, I got everything deleted. And when I now do some animations of the head of the lamp, yeah, and doing some animations, for example, when I take all of the joints here, I'm here on frame 1, I press S, then I go somewhere else, bend it, press S again, go, oops, maybe it's a little bit too far, so press S again, then do some kind of turning, press S again, some turning in the other direction or bending, whatever, just have a little bit of fun. That's what we got. Just the basic stuff now. That's how it works. If you want to do a preview video before rendering the video, you can do it quite easily when you right-click here on the timeline and say Playblast and open up the options. Then you say that, okay, the view that I see is my image size. You can change here some encoding stuff, and I use here this H246 64 standard. Display size from window or from render settings, it depends. Of course, when you set up HD video settings, then you may use that. The scale is that it's not in original HD, it is half the size. Frame padding leave to 4, and you should save to file. And when you set up a project, it's going into the movies folder. Otherwise, select position where it should go. Live animation, and then I say Playblast. And now it's creating a video. Now we have it here. And you have it also in your folder that you just created. If you want to render or do the full animation rendering, be aware that here you have to render 100 frames. And for that you have to set up in the render settings. First thing that you have to do is you may do a TIFF or JPEG sequence. And here you have frame animation, single frame. And what you should do is actually change it. I recommend these two. This is my name, then underline, and this is the frame number that will be set up, and the extension is of course then TIFF or JPEG. So take this one. Frame padding, that is called that the numbers will be 0001. It helps the animation sequence to set up the sequence then later on in post-production. And of course I set up here my start frame and my end frame by frame 1, so it should keep every frame. And yeah, TIFF creates, you see it here, that lamp animation 0.01 to this is rendered. JPEG is not that big, as so the files are not that big. So it depends on you, which quality do you want to have. And that's it. And then go to, I think, yeah, then set up all your render stuff. But be careful how high you render, because it takes a lot of time. And then I have to switch here, go here to rendering. And you can't render it here in the Arnold render view. You have to go here to render sequence, and just make sure, okay, that the camera is enabled, and render sequence and close. And then, of course, my image is black. Maybe I should just cancel it here with escape. Maybe I should set up some light, go to Arnold. I just put here Skydome light in it so that it's lit white. Then again, render and render sequence. Now we have our image, and you see here it's now rendering every frame. It's quite fast here. Do it overnight or whenever your computer has time to render that. Now press escape. And then you'll find your images. Then, of course, I hope you set up a project, and then you get here the image sequence here in the image folder. And with that, you can go into post-production and set up your animation. Of course, this will be done normally in After Effects or Premiere. And if we get that far, then I'm really happy, and I will do another tutorial on creating videos in After Effects or Premiere.